It felt like hours just going through the trouble of moving that rock. Percy's sword wasn't any help. A magic sword could kill a lot of monsters, but did no good to help move a boulder. Annabeth tried yelling through the cracks to get a signal to Grover. But even if he could hear them, they couldn't tell. And even if they could come up with a miracle to kill the Cyclops, it still wouldn't do anything to free them. Getting the Cyclops to move that rock again was the only way to get them out. "We have no choice," said Annabeth. "We can't beat him by force, so we'll have to use trickery." "Okay, so how do we do that?" Percy asked. "I still have my baseball cap," she answered. "I can sneak past him invisibly." "Okay, so what about me?" Annabeth noticed down the hill that Polyhemus was walking past the sheep. But for some reason, they weren't attacking him. They seemed to be waiting for something, and they were. He started feeding them chunks of meat, which they didn't want to know where he got them. And some of the sheep seemed smaller, like normal sheep, and they were normal sheep. They were the only sheep that didn't take the meat. "How much do you like sheep?" Annabeth asked Percy. Now this was crazy. While Annabeth used her invisibility cap, she left Percy with this insane idea for him to hide by hanging under one of the normal sheep's belly like a baby wallaby. He just grabbed its thick wool, hooked his feet against the thigh bones, and presto. The sheep didn't seem to complain, so thank the Olympians. The underside of the sheep smells not so great, so don't get any ideas. "Sheepies!" the Cyclops roared. "Here, sheepies!" Then the sheep started trudging back up the hill. Percy heard Annabeth's voice next to him. "Okay, this is it, but don't worry, I'll be close by." He made a silent promise to the gods that if they survived this, he'd tell Annabeth she was a freaking genius. Of course, he knew the gods would hold him to it. But her plan worked out better than they expected, because as simple as that, they were in the cave. The Cyclops was about to roll the stone back into place when from somewhere outside the doorway, Annabeth shouted, "Hey, ugly!"
"Huh? Who said that?"
"Nobody!" Annabeth yelled.
"Nobody?"
Polyhemus yelled back.
"I remember you."
"You're too stupid to remember anybody, much less nobody," Annabeth taunted.
"Come here and let me kill you, nobody!"
The Cyclops howled. "You can't kill nobody, you stupid oaf!" Annabeth shouted. "Come and find me!" The monster marched down the hill and followed her voice. Percy remembered now. Annabeth told him once that using the name Nobody was the trick another demigod named Odysseus used to trick Polyhemus when he visited the island. Right before he poked the Cyclops' eye out with a large hot stick. Annabeth figured Polyhemus would still have a grudge about that name, and she was right. He felt so angry to find his old enemy, he forgot about sealing up the cave entrance. Apparently, he didn't even stop to consider that Annabeth's voice was female, whereas the first Nobody had been male. On the other hand, he wanted to marry Grover, so he couldn't have been all that bright about the whole male-female thing. Annabeth just had to stay alive and keep him distracted long enough for him to get Grover and Clarice, and now was his chance. The back of the cave was decorated with some stone sheep statues, which Percy recognized as the work of Medusa. Also some sheepskin rug decorating the cave floor and some junk that littered the place like sheep bones and socks. Finally, he found Grover probably in the deepest part of the cave trying to help Clarice get free of her super tight ropes. "Percy?" Clarice said. "You were supposed to be blown up." "Good to see you too," he replied. "Percy!" Grover said excitingly. "You came! You heard me!" "Yeah, bud. Of course I did." "But where's Annabeth?" "Outside. Here, let me do that." He knelt down and helped them loosen the ropes. She glared at Percy, then stared at the ground and mumbled, "Thanks." You're welcome, he said. So, anyone else survived? No, just me, she answered. Surprised you made it out. Percy tried not to believe his last hope of Tyson's survival had been crushed. All right then, come on, we better go help Annabeth. Then a scream echoed in the cave, and Percy didn't have to guess who was screaming and why. They peeked through the doorway and saw the Cyclops grinning wickedly. They were too late.
I got nobody,
The Cyclops shouted. He shook his fist, and a baseball cap fell to the ground, revealing Annabeth hanging upside down by her legs.
Nasty, invisible girl,
The Cyclops said.
already got Loudmouth for her wife? Means you gotta be grilled with mango chutney.
Okay guys, listen, Percy whispered. Our ship is around the back of the island. I'll rush him while you guys... No way, they both said at once. Clarice armed herself with a spear made out of a ram's horn and a stick. Grover picked up a sheep's thigh bone, and he held it like a club, ready to attack, though he didn't seem too happy about it. We'll take 'em together, Clarice said with confidence. Yeah, said Grover. Then he blinked. Did I just actually agree on her with something? Right then, said Percy. Attack plan, Macedonia. They all had taken the same training courses at the camp, so they knew what he was talking about. They would sneak around either side and attack the Cyclops from the sides while Percy held his attention in the front. Probably what this meant was that they'd all die instead of just Percy, but he was grateful for their help. Percy drew his sword and shouted, Hey, Ugly! Over here! The giant turned towards him.
Another one? Who are you?
The one who insulted you.
You are nobody?
Yeah, that's right. I'm nobody and I'm proud of it. Now put her down so I can stab you in the eye again. At that moment, the good news was that he listened and dropped Annabeth. Bad news, he dropped her head first onto a rock where she laid as motionless as a rag doll. For Pan! Grover shouted. He threw a sheep bone which bounced harmlessly off the monster's forehead. Clarice engaged and aimed her spear for Polyhemus's foot. Grover! Percy shouted. Get Annabeth to the ship! So Grover picked up Annabeth, picked up the baseball cap, and ran out of the cave while the others kept the Cyclops distracted. Clarice was almost too brave. More brave than you'd believe, and fast. She kept dodging the Cyclops as he kept making his move again and again. Percy followed up and stabbed him wherever he could. He hoped the Cyclops would disintegrate like the others, but this one was too powerful. They knew they couldn't keep it up forever. Eventually they would become too exhausted to fight and the Cyclops might get a lucky shot. It would only take him just one hit to kill each of them. They just had to grab the fleece, get everyone safely to the ship, and just leave the island all without getting eaten, which still wasn't easy, but there was no way to kill the Cyclops faster. Fall back, he told Clarice. She rolled her eyes just as the Cyclops tried to smash her. So they ran for the exit.
I'll cut you into sheep's owl,
the Cyclops growled. They climbed up the side, and he was right behind them. Grover was already waiting for them on the other side of the bridge, with Annabeth laying down next to him. Grover! Percy shouted. Get Annabeth's knife! So he took out the knife, and as soon as Percy and Clarice hit solid ground, Grover started cutting the rope ladder. He cut off one side, then the other, but then... Oh no! Bam! Polyhemus made a big leap and landed right in front of them.
Fail, he yelled. Nobody failed.
Clarice and Grover tried to charge him, but they got swatted away like flies. Anger swelled up inside Percy. He couldn't believe he had gotten this far and still faced so much pain. He lost his brother, his best friend was hurt now, and now he and the others were getting their butts kicked by a one-eyed Neanderthal. Percy had it. As strength coursed through his body, he purposely forgot how hopelessly outmatched he was. Then he raised up his sword and attacked! Next thing he knew, Polyhemus was sprawled on his back, dazed and groaning, while Percy stood on top of him with the tip of his sword hovering over the monster's eye. "Whoa," Grover said. "How did you do that?" The Cyclops moaned pitifully and stared up at Percy.
No, please, not again,
he begged.
"My sheepies need me,"
he said with a tear welling down the corner of his eye.
"I just want to protect my sheep."
All Percy had to do was push his sword a few inches more and he'd win. "What are you waiting for? Do it," said Clarice. "Don't buy it, Percy," said Grover. "Cyclops can't be trusted." Percy knew Annabeth probably would have said the exact same thing. But Polyhemus was sobbing, and for the first time it sunk into Percy that he was a son of Poseidon too. "We only want the fleece," he told him. "If you let us leave with it, we won't have to kill you." The monster was still sobbing.
"My beautiful fleece, my prize of my collection. Take it and go away, you cruel human."
Percy didn't take his eyes off the monster. "One false move from you and I swear." Percy jumped off him, but then Polyhemus leaped to his feet and grabbed Percy.
"Take my fleece? I eat you first."
And then, kapow! He was knocked right in the eye with a rock. Then he dropped Percy and the Cyclops fell over the edge.
"Bad Polyphemus,"
said a familiar deep voice. Then Percy turned around and never felt so relieved and happy at the same time in his whole life. Tyson came to his rescue.